This is our news, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight, will your electricity bill rise with temperatures this summer? Plus,
man is 100 years old. He had a great life.
Remembering Bahamian icon Sir Derwent Knowles, and a look at the blurred lines between church and state.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks for joining us. Topping the news, power outages may not be the only woes of BPL customers this summer. Oil prices have trended upwards since August, and if that continues, customers can expect a higher light bill. We get that story tonight from our Jared Higgs.
BPL CEO Whitney Hasty can't tell the future, but he knows that if oil prices, which have trended upward since August, continue to rise, customers can expect to pay more.
Fuel has been trending up, and customers would have seen an increase in the fuel charge that they're paying, because for us it's just a matter of a pass-through. We don't make a profit, or we don't take a cut on any of the costs of fuel. Whatever we burn in the generation side of the house in terms of volume and cost is what we pass through our customers, shared across all of the islands.
Fuel diversity may be a solution to these rising prices, according to Hasty.
We'd like to see us move away from just being dependent on diesel in the islands, heavy fuel oil and diesel here in New Providence, to really LNG, diesel and heavy fuel oil. And that would give us really the flexibility that we need, so that as one move high, we can always switch our fuel source to a lower. So for instance, today you can buy LNG for almost a fifth of the cost of diesel. And so had we had LNG in our fleet, we would be able to pass on an extremely low cost on fuel charged to our consumers.
When asked for a timeline on alternative solutions, Hasty said this.
Yeah, so based on some of the vendors that would have submitted bids to us, some are saying from 6 months all the way up to 24 months, and that's simply based on the infrastructure they can bring to bear. Some are saying they can bring a floating barge, and start to export to the assets right away. Others are looking at more fixed land base, fixed base assets. That obviously takes a whole lot more time to construct before you can bring the fuel and store fuel in those assets. So it's strictly a matter of the vendor that puts in the proposal and what they're actually, or how they're planning on moving fuel from the source to the engines.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
Condolences continuing to pour in tonight following the death of the country's first Olympic medalist, Sir Derwent Knowles. Sir Derwent passed away yesterday afternoon at the age of 100. His death, while sad, is also being hailed as a period of thanksgiving for all that he has done as a nation builder, not only in the sporting arena, but through his philanthropic efforts as well.
That's the main thing in life. What have you accomplished? What are you leaving back as a legacy? Are you satisfied with your life? Would you have any changes to make? And looking back on it, I don't think I've had too many changes to make. I'm satisfied with the way I've lived.
A legend in every sense of the word, he reached the status of centenarian just last year, with the same wit and charm that endeared him to the Bahamian people for decades. With his passing on Saturday, the nation renewed its respect and adoration for Sir Derwent Knowles with a steady stream of condolences and tributes. Atop the list was Prime Minister Dr. Eubin Minnis, who lauded Sir Derwent as a legendary sporting figure, a noted philanthropist, and a true Bahamian patriot. The nation has long revered the Olympic legend, having received the highest national honor in a 1996 knighthood and the Bahamas Order of Merit in 1997. His name was immortalized with the dedication of a Defense Force patrol craft in his honor in 2014. Opposition leader Philip Davis also expressed his sympathies with the view that our country is better because Sir Derwent lived among us, noting that he parlayed his work as an Olympian into that of a tireless promoter of the sport of sailing. Among the many civic organizations Sir Derwent dedicated his life's work to was the Rotary Club. Lindsay Cancino spoke on behalf of the civic group.
Much like his impact on the Bahamas in general, as you can imagine, Durward had a larger than life impact on not just our club, but Rotary in the Bahamas. And he was president of the club in '75 and '76, and during that year, we went through a bit of a transformation under his leadership. And if you know anything about him, it's impossible to say no. So when you were given orders, you acted on them. And hence he got the nickname the Admiral.
Sir Durward's work in Rotary spans over 40 years, during which time he helped to establish the Southeast Nassau branch.
Apart from his leadership, it was his integrity and his following the Rotary four-way test. Just everybody respected him for the sailing people around the world. Everybody knew him. His nickname in the sailing circles was Sea Wolf, and often some of those other sailors from around the world would come here to the yacht club for different functions, and he was just so highly respected.
And while the Bahamas enjoys the legacy that is Sir Durward Knowles, elsewhere in the world, his contributions will live on as well.
Those that are left behind, again, have an example to follow. I think the young people would do well to learn about Durward's life accomplishments, not just the sailing, because he will tell you, as he told us on frequent occasions, he's most proud of the fact that he was recognized more for his humanitarian efforts than the sailing, as important as that was to him. And one of the accolades that he got was the Service Above Self Award, which is awarded by Rotary International. It's the highest honor any Rotarian can receive, and he counted that as his most prized possession.
The Bahamas Christian Council is caught in a matrix between two dangerous elements. That, according to a church leader who says the church must always protect itself from political influence. Pastor of Zion Baptist Church, Reverend T.G. Morrison, made the comments last Thursday on our TV show, On the Record. Christina Dragovich has the details.
When party lines begin to influence religious leaders and the messages they deliver to their congregations, there's a serious problem, according to St. Gregory's Church Rector, Father Sebastian Campbell. Campbell telling On the Record host Jerome Sawyer that there is no doubt that some churches subscribe to party affiliations. However, that should not be the case.
There's no doubt about that. The challenge really is for us to be objective and to come down on issues rather than selling our souls to any political party at any given time.
So now when you have put yourself in that position, how do you come back to your congregation? How do you preach to them the word of God when all I see is a party color standing in the pulpit?
Well, part of the challenge is, and Father may disagree with me, but a lot of our local assemblies have really turned over into personality cults.
Campbell, along with Reverend T.G. Morrison of Zion Baptist Church, spoke to the topic of religion and politics. Morrison says church leaders have a responsibility to protect and guide their congregations rather than tell them what their personal politics should be.
And for me, a person would have to be exceedingly gullible or would have left their brain at home to be able to sit and not challenge that, because at the end of the day, no one has the right to tell you who to vote for.
However, not all churches are sanctuaries from party politics, according to Campbell.
And we have to stand above that fray. Unfortunately, we have churches in this country known as PLP churches, as FNM churches. We need to destroy that whole idea to see if we could really redeem that these churches would be the Church of God, as it is called to be.
Both Campbell and Morrison wish the Christian Council well on its mission to keep church and politics separate, but Morrison notes the organization finds itself in a precarious position.
One is an ultra-puritanical approach to Christianity, and the other, it is a partisan political approach. That segment of the Christian Council becomes a very loud voice when we are dealing with national issues, say gambling, say you're debating same-sex marriage or something that is going to stir up a hornet's nest within the country. And while the Bible is very clear in terms of its stances, there is a way in which a Christian council has to declare what it declares, because at the end of the day, we must not only be prophetic as a Christian community, we must also be pastoral.
Follow the conversation with On the Record on Facebook. Reporting for Our News, I'm Christina Dragovich.
All right, thanks, Christina. And we'll take a break here, but still ahead tonight. The Citizenship Committee already approving applications. That story and more when Our News returns.